Alright, today our topic is going to be over angle classification with parallel lines. Please excuse my raspy voice and stuffy nose. I'm getting over a cold, so you'll just have to bear with me. Alright, so to start, my objective is students will be able to identify angle properties in reference to parallel lines and solve using their attributes. So to begin, we would say, today class we're going to learn how to identify and work with angles of parallel lines. But to be able to do so, we must know what these terms mean and what they look like. So, first you could give the students a minute to look around the classroom, maybe give them 3 minutes to write down as many different angles as they can find visually throughout the classroom. Simply something like the angle that the closing door makes, or the angle between the shades in the window, or the fan on the ceiling. So we're going to let the students brainstorm all the angles that they can find, as we covered angles in our previous lesson. This will allow them to get their minds flowing on what makes an angle as well as how to identify them. After the students have been given a couple minutes to do so, you will let the students brainstorm their ideas so that everyone can see angles that they may have missed. But now that we've found lots of different angles, let's look at the angle classification between parallel lines. So first we need to give the definitions to the students that we'd be using today so they're prepared with some of the terminology that we're going to be using. The first would be parallel lines. Lines are parallel if they, lines are parallel if they are always the same distance apart, which is called equidistant, and will never meet. Sorry, that's a little tough to see. Corresponding angles are when two lines are crossed by another line called the transversal. The angles in matching corners are corresponding angles. And again, these are just the definitions. The next part of the explanation will go through the visual part of this. The last term that we're going to be using is alternate interior angles. The pairs of angles on opposite sides of the transversal, but inside the two lines, are called alternate interior angles. Now, once you've discussed these different terms with the students, you can answer any of their questions from just the definitions themselves. But then we're going to turn to the Math is Fun site to look at a more visual representation that'll let the students play around with the angles so they can get a feel for it themselves. The great thing about this lesson is that it combines not only visual learning, but auditory, and they're able to they're able to hear the definitions and then go ahead and further their education by playing with it themselves. So you could take the students to the computer lab and allow them to go on this site. Bear with me for a moment. Let's see. So this would be the site right here that we're going to be looking at. This is the Math is Fun site. Let's see. Alright, so this page that it's on right now is alternate interior angles. So if you wanted to, they can pretty much have freedom to explore this site. So they could go through and look at different definitions right here, as well as alternate interior angles. This is what a transversal is. So it goes over what we just talked about, but gives them also a visual representation of it. So go to this page right here, which lets them click on different ones. So say we just learned about alternate interior angles. It's going to pop up and show them that C is equal to F and D is equal to E, and show them where, so you have your parallel lines, your transversals, and then your alternate interior angles. So they'll be able to go through these, learn a couple new ones, like vertical angles, something we hadn't covered to begin with, some of the more advanced ones. So this will prep students to be able to recognize that this line is 180 degrees, so the angles on either side should add up to 180. So if you know angle B, or angle A, I'm sorry, then you should be able to subtract that from 180 to find out what angle B is. So that'll prep them for this next lesson that you would go over on, solving the kind of puzzle equations where they're given lots of lines with missing angles. Being able to use these different terms and see how they react on this example would allow them to be ready for that next step. So after you've allowed them to have ample time to play with this, the website play different games that are also on the site. You would gather the students in a group and do your debrief for your wrap-up. Each student will go into popcorn style, stating one interesting fact that they learned from the site, as well as how it helps them understand the main goal of today's lesson. So by debriefing, the students will be able to not only share their ideas, but learn from other students' ideas. And your follow-up is discussed in the written lesson plan. Thanks, guys.